Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So the first material is about what is translation. Translation, according to David Crystal, translation is the activity of changing the meaning of an expression from the source language to the target language. And the second, according to Breslin, translation is the transfer of the messages and idea from source language to the target language. And according to Newmark, translation is the transfer of the meaning from one of the text from one language to another, but with the author intention. And the fourth is, according to Nida and Tabor, translation is finding the equivalent from source language to the target language that has closest meaning from the source language, that language and cultural context. According to many experts before, we can conclude that translation is the process of transferring language from the source language to the target language, that using the word equivalent from the source language that has closest meaning in the source language, especially in language and cultural context. Alright, the next material is about translation process. There are 4 steps for translation process. The first is analyze. The translator analyzes the entire text from the structure, from the style, context, and then the meaning. And the second, transferring the meaning. So the translator transfer from the source language to the target language, but still in her minds. And then in the next step, the translator rewriting what he thinks before. So he write with the structure and the style. And the last is finalization. Finalization step means that translator make sure what the structure, what the context, what the meaning, and his take before he giving the result or submits or public her result. Right, the next material is about language function. Language function means that how language used to achieve specific communication goal. There are 6 the language function according to linguistic communicative communication theory. So the first is expressive function, that about the emotion or feeling of the speaker, like I'm very happy, I'm so happy. And the next is cognitive function. Cognitive function means that the influence listener behavior or action, like comment, suggestion, or like please help me. So the next is referential function. Referential function is that information about the surrounding the world. For example, like the earth orbit the sun. So the next is metalinguistic function. Metalinguistic function is use language to explain itself. For example, like cat is an animal, rose is a flower, and the next is aesthetic. And next is emphatic function. Emphatic function means that the open of communication. For example, like hello, good morning, hello, how are you? So and the next is aesthetic function, that focus on beauty in literary work. For example, like poetry or song lyric. Is about genre of text. We have 5 categories of text. The first is narrative text. Narrative text about the text about the story. For example, like a novel or short story. The narrative text purpose to entertain or giving experiences. And the next is descriptive text. Descriptive text means that tell about the described object, place, or situation in detail. For example, like description, the product description, or the report. And the next is expository text. Expository text is the text that giving information systematically. For example, like academic article or the research report. And the next is argumentative text. Argumentative text is like how to persuade people or a listener to agree with one opinion. For example, like argumentative essay. And the last is instructional text. Instructional text means that the text about how to do something. For example, like how to make omelette, how to it's about recipes. Alright, the next material is about unit of translation. In translation theory, unit of translation refers to the smallest part of the text which considered as a unit and can vary like word, phrase, sentence, or entire the text. And we know and also about the discourse analysis is an approach to analyze how language is used in social communication or social context. So in discourse analysis, we focus on entire the text. It's not about sentences, word, or phrase. It's about the text from another text. We compare another text, and we focus on uh, relationship between the text and social context or the context itself. Alright, the next material is about translation ideology. Translation ideology refers to the set of belief, value, and assumption that influence how a text is translated. It's the factor from the translator, right? It affects in decision made during translation process. All right, and then we have Lawrence Penty to introduce the translation ideology. So he said about two ideology. The first is domestication. Domestication is a strategy that makes the translated text feel natural and familiar to the target reader or target language. Alright, the second is foreignization. These strategies that maintain cultural and linguistic distinctive of the short language, even if the result feels like foreign to the reader. Alright, and the next is translation method. From the Peter Newmark translation method is two categories. First, source language, and the second is target language. So we explain about the source language first. The first is word for word is a follow grammatical form. A word for word is a follow grammatical form of short language translating word for word following the original order for example, like she is my friend. Artinya dia adalah saya punya teman. So that's the example from word for word. And the next is literal translation. Is the reason in the target language, or is the harfiah translation. For example, book on the table. Artinya buku ada di atas meja. And the next is faithful translation. Is penerjemahan setia, or trying to maintain the original meaning and context, but still within the grammatical limit of the target language. For example, he is bookworm. Artinya dia adalah kutu buku. It's not change like reading. No. So in the next is semantic translation. It's a textual meaning and so sesuai dengan konteks. And the next target language. From target language, Peter Newmark. Number 5 is adaptation. So shifting the meaning too far. For example, like Thanksgiving Day, hari Lebaran kalau misalkan di Indonesia. Tapi itu culture di Indonesia gitu, karena beda. So in the next is free translation. It's not bounded off by the structured translation using the language, but the meaning is the same. In the technique is paraphrase. And the next is idiomatic translation. It's the short language and can change and shift to idiomatic. For example, he is my boyfriend. So artinya dia adalah pacarku atau dia si jantung hatiku. So in the last is communication translation. So it means that easy for readers to understand about the text. Alright, the next is free translation. It means that not bound by structure translation using own language, but the meaning in the same. And the technique is paraphrase. We paraphrase the sentences of what we want to say. And the next is idiomatic translation. That means the short language can change or shift to idiomatic. For example, he is my boyfriend. Artinya dia pacarku atau dia si jantung hatiku. It means in idiomatic, si jantung hatiku. So the last is communication translation. It means that easy for readers to understand the text. And keep the grass is example, keep of the grass. Artinya dilarang menginjak rumput. Alright, that's all about material of translation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.